excited about tonight, if you guys are excited about tonight, family, just like I'm excited, then go ahead and smash the like button for me really quickly. Right, let's make sure that everybody in the YouTube space that right now is interested in learning how to trade knows that we are live right now in real time, and you guys know we're gonna get straight to the value, straight to the sauce, straight to the education, family. And I hope today we're able just to provide you guys with a little bit more insight on what the markets are about to do moving forward, right? So I see we got the boy Skags in the building. Shout out to that boy Skag. I see you, bro. Appreciate you for tuning in. All right, we got Baltimore in the building. Shout out to you guys out there in Baltimore. Stand up. All my Baltimore Raven fans in the house, stand up. I appreciate y'all. It's like a brotherhood, man, and a sisterhood. I love y'all. We got Malaysia in the building. Shout out to you guys out there in Malaysia. Good morning to you guys. Appreciate every single one of y'all tuning in. And I'm excited about today's session, guys, because, again, it is the start of the week for us here on YouTube. You know, I do these, guys, these streams, these sessions every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And I will continue doing these streams every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at this exact time moving forward until I decide not to do it, right? But as of right now, guys, I do plan on doing these every single week, nonstop, consistently. The only way I'm not gonna do a stream is if I'm physically not able to for whatever reason there is, right? So in the meantime, in between time, this is where I want to see you guys, because this is where you're really gonna be able to get some real, raw, actual authentic value, guys, on what it takes to truly become a full-time trader, a profitable trader, right? How many of you guys in the chat truly aspire, guys, to be a full-time trader? And how many of you guys in the chat want to learn this skill set so that you're able to not just change your life, but able to all go ahead and really impact the lives of so many other people as well? Let me know in the chats, guys. All right, let me know in the chats if that's you, right? Let me know in the chats if that's you, right? If you aspire to be, you know, a full-time trader, right? Not just because of what it could do for you, but what it could do for other people. Go ahead and let me know in the chat, all right? Because this is extremely important, guys, and this is something that I really am excited about, because, you know, this skill set has done so much for me, guys. But it's not even about myself. It's the amount of people that I've been able to impact through this skill set, right? It's the amount of people that I've been really go ahead and put in a much better position because of this skill set, right? I've been able to teach, guys, thousands and thousands of people, and this is not me making this stuff up, right? This is actually documented type of information, right? Where I've been able to teach thousands of people in person. I've been able to teach thousands of people right here online, right? Whether it be through Zoom calls, whether it be through YouTube, whether it be through my previous platform that I used to educate for, right? I've literally been able to teach thousands, and that's exactly why I really want to get into this space of being a coach, of being a mentor, right? Because I know for a fact, if I can teach somebody some things on how this market truly works, and if I could teach people what they need to know as opposed to what they want to know, then I also know for a fact that they can go ahead and truly see a change in their life, right? Because that's really what I'm all about, guys. It's not nothing to do with me, right? Because as long as I give to other people, if I could help other people get into a better position, then by default, I'm going to be rewarded by being able to be put into a much better position as well, right? I'm a very spiritual individual, guys, right? I truly believe in karma and giving out good energy to receive good energy, right? I really believe in those things. So that's why for me, I don't have no issue giving out so much free value, so much free sauce on these streams, because I know I'm going to get it back in the back end, right? And speaking on the back end, that just made me think about something that I really want to put in perspective, you know, for every single one of you guys that's on this call right now, right? Because I know for a fact, guys, we have a lot of people that truly want to make this thing work, that truly want to be able to see, you know, the pros to trading, right? There's a lot of people on this call that truly want to be able to get to a position where they're doing this consistently so that they can go ahead and start to live a better life. But I'm going to be the first one to tell you guys, right? And I might be the only one to really tell you this, okay? Trading itself, guys, and this skill set and this entire journey, you really are not going to get the results on the front end of this journey, okay? I want you guys to really think about this with me, right? Really think about this with me, guys, right? Like, really think about this with me. This is a skill set, guys, that you don't get rewarded on the front end of it, okay? You get rewarded on the back end of this journey, right? I want you guys to understand it, because think about it like this, guys, right? Amateurs look to monetize the front end. Professionals look to monetize the back end. Okay? That's a fact. Write that down. And that's the same thing with trading, right? As a trader, I get it. We all want to get to the results as soon as possible, right? Because nobody likes taking L's. Nobody likes losing. Nobody likes blowing accounts. But it's a part of the process, okay? In order for you to really get to the bigger bags that you're after, you have to understand that you have to put in all the time on the front end, all the work on the front end, right? All this energy on the front end, so that eventually on the back end of the journey, you're actually able to get all those things that you absolutely wanted to, attract into your life. All right, so in the chat, guys, I need you guys, and this only if you're serious about this, right? Only if you're serious about growth, only if you're serious about really learning from this skill set. All right, I want you guys to write in the chat, write the word back end in the chat, right? BACKEND, right? Write back end in the chat for me, right? Write back end in the chat, right? Because again, professionals get paid on the back end, not the front end. Okay, only amateurs, guys, try to rush the process so that they can get massive results on the front end, and they don't ever really get results. It's the professionals, guys, the ones that are here that are serious about this, that put in the work, to then eventually get paid on the back end, right? And the crazy thing about that back end money is that back end money, guys, is going to be nonstop, right? As long as you continue to really work this thing, and as long as you never give up, then that back end money is going to be continuously coming in, right? Like, that's exactly how this works, right? So stop focusing so much on the front end of your journey and start focusing on getting to a point where the back end is going to be absolutely full of all the blessings and pleasures that you guys truly want, right? So I'm worried about monetizing the back end of the journey. I'm not focused about the front end, because I know the front end is going to bring the struggles. I know the front end is going to bring, all the disappointments, all these hiccups, all the turmoil. I understand that that's going to be in the front end, guys. And that's every single trader in this world has to go through those struggles in the front end so that they can eventually monetize or be monetized on the back end, right? Now, there's actually a quote, family, that I actually want to bring back up. I actually spoke about it in my Telegram. I believe I sent it yesterday, right? And it's actually such a fire quote, because I was actually listening to a podcast last night, yesterday. And the dude that I was listening to, he said this quote that really just puts things into perspective, right? And if you're a part of my Telegram family, then you guys already should have seen it. I have a lot of you guys that actually, really liked it. And I want to go ahead and just put it right here, right now on this live as well, so that you guys can really just utilize it in any way possible, right? So in the quote, it says, when you go through hard times, it doesn't change who you are. It just gives you evidence of who you are, right? And then it says, tough times don't create our character. It just reveals it, right? So I want you guys to really just think about that really quick. And there's another part as well, right? The last part to that is going through the struggle and overcoming it gives us the faith and belief of how powerful we truly are as individuals, right? So let's really talk about that really quickly, right? And I know that this is a trading, a live stream for trading, but you got to understand, trading is literally, majority of it is mindset, right? Because learning technicals, learning fundamentals, understanding sentiment is literally only the first part of it, right? And that's the easy part to truly get, guys. It's all about mindset and your ability to really understand the process, but even more so your ability to actually have the perseverance to get through all the struggles that are about to come up, because you're going to struggle, right? You're going to go through issues, right? There's no doubt about that, guys. I'll look you right in your eye. I'm talking to you right now that's listening to me right now. I'm talking to you, right? You are going to experience a lot of struggles in this journey in the beginning, okay? But it's going to be your discipline. Ultimately, it's going to be your perseverance that's going to really dictate on if you truly see results or not, okay? It's your perseverance. Are you going to be able to have the discipline to get through all the ups and downs? That's the main question here, right? That's the main question here, right? Now, I got a question for you guys in the chat as well. All right, a question for you guys in the chat. Let me see what else we got in the building. I see we got the Bahamas in the house. What's going on? Shout out to you guys out there in the Bahamas. I see y'all. I appreciate y'all. Right, but I want you guys to really understand this as well, guys, right? We are all human beings, okay? That's obvious. But one thing that most people don't understand is that us being human beings also means that we have the ability to literally do anything that we set our mind to. Like, there is not one thing in this world that we cannot accomplish or we cannot do, especially when we align our vibrations to it and we are fully focused on actually accomplishing that goal without a time period and without any of that stuff trying to distract us, right? We are extremely, extremely powerful because we are all human beings. We are alive today. We are all blessed to be alive, guys. So if you truly understand how much of a blessing you are and how powerful you are, that you are actually alive and breathing today, then you can also understand that no matter what situation comes up, you will be able to actually overcome it. Okay, it's all about perseverance, guys. Now I have a question for y'all, right? Based off statistics, what are the stats on people actually doing this full time? Right? What are the statistics, guys, on people that actually become profitable, right? What do the statistics say? Right? How many people are actually profitable from trading? Who knows, right? Who knows? Let me know in the chats, right? Let me know in the chats. Yeah, we getting crazy today, Drew. I promise you. Like I said, man, when I start ranting like this, whew, you know we get into the sauce. All right, I see we got Kenya in the building. Shout out to you guys out there in Kenya. I see y'all. What is going on? Let's see. Bahamas here. What's going on, Tracy? Shout out to you guys out there in the Bahamas. I appreciate you guys out there in the Bahamas. I can't wait for next year. Next year, guys, I plan on doing a full year tour, like a worldwide tour, right? The Caribbean islands is definitely on my to-go list, right? So I can't wait to go out there to the Bahamas and really trade with you guys out there in live, in real person, right? So let's see what the stats are now. And this is a very important topic that I'm about to get to, okay? They say that less than 5% of people, right? Less than 5%, less than 3%, a very small portion of people actually end up becoming successful trading in this lane. Now, I'm not saying this, guys, to try to scare y'all, to try to get you to not do this. I'm not doing that for any of those reasons. What I am telling you this is that a big reason why most people do not succeed, and this is just my belief, a big reason why most people do not succeed is because when most people start to learn how to trade, there's a few things that they do. For one, they come in with the wrong intentions, right? They come in, especially nowadays with this whole Forex space, right? Forex been out for, 15, 20, 30 years now, okay? The exchange of currency has been out for even longer, right? When people were exchanging goods for other goods, right? The barter system back in the day. But trading Forex, guys, the way that we're able to do it right now has only been out for around 15 to 20 years because of, obviously, technology. Now, a big reason why most people today do not succeed, it's not even because they can't do it. It's because typically they don't have the patience or the perseverance to go through the ups and downs that it takes to actually see the results, right? A big thing that I realized, guys, especially over the past 5 years of me teaching, right? 4 years of me being a mentor, 4 years of me teaching in this space, is I realized that most people just never really give it their all when it comes to trading, right? Because a big reason why most people do that is because in the back of their mind, they're automatically doubting whether they can actually do this or not. And the moment that you plant that seed of doubt in your mind, you're never going to be able to accomplish this. You got to understand, trading is one of the most complex skill sets in the world to learn, right? Trading is one of the hardest careers to actually sustain. But also know that most people that try to trade, I would say 90% of people that attempt to do this, they end up giving up within their first 6 to 12 months of actually trading. Right? I'm just being honest here, right? 90% of people, and again, I could be wrong. This is just from what I obviously based off what I've been experiencing, right? But a high 90% of people do not even last longer than a year. Right? Most of the people that I know that actually were able to make some significant money from this, they've been trading for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. There's a very, very few amount. There's honestly not that many people that I know that were able to really change their life by only being in this for a year or two. Right? No, the people that I see that are actually living off of Forex, right? That haven't worked a job because of this income, they've put in years to actually get to that point. But the reality is 99% of people do not have what it takes to actually put in the time that's necessary for them to actually make this thing work. All right, here's a good example, right? Back in the day, guys, right, when I started 7.5 years ago, okay? Shout out to my boy Skaggs, right? Because we really like day ones on this charting game, right? He's like one of the first people I really connected with, you know, in this trading space 7 years ago, right? But back then, 7 years ago, guys, when I pretty much started, right? We actually started and we were all a part of this. It was a pretty decent sized community back in the day, right? And even to my most recent platform that I was a part of, right? We had millions of people that actually went through the platform, right? But out of everybody that was exposed to trading, there's probably less than 5% of people that are still actually doing it today, right? From my first academy that I joined to try to learn from, I don't even know anybody, personally speaking, that is still here today that started 7 years ago when me and Skaggs first started, right? There's nobody still here. And the reason why is because they just didn't end up believing that they could do it. They just didn't have the discipline to continue actually trying to figure it out. There's so many different reasons, guys, why. But this is the whole point I'm getting to. You yourself can actually do this. You need to have the faith and belief that you can do this first. And then don't give yourself a time limit on how soon this has to make sense. Right? Because it might take you 3 years for it to make sense. It might take you 5 years for it to actually make sense. It might take you 10 years, guys, for you to really become profitable. But this is the question I really got to ask you guys. And I ask this question a lot. Is it worth spending 5 to 10 years of your life going all in with this for then eventually for you to get to a point in your life where you're able to profit from this skill set for the rest of your life? Is that worth it, yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Right, shout out to the boy Modi. I see we got the boy Modi in the chat. What's going on, my brother? I appreciate you. What's going on, my brother? I see you in the chat. Shout out to you, my bro. I appreciate you. Right, but let me know. All right, I see we got Botswana in the building. Shout out to you guys out there in Botswana. Right, family, is it worth it? Right, and I'm going to give you guys an example, right? Because for me, when I was actually when I started trading actually, okay, I used to work a warehouse, right? I was a warehouse worker, right? So I used to pick up boxes and put them down all day long. I'm talking about like all day long, right? I used to pick boxes up, put it down, pick boxes up, put it down, right? That's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from a warehousing background, right? If you're doing warehousing right now, right? Let me know in the chats by dropping a 4. Right, let me know in the chats by dropping the 4 if you're a warehouse worker, right? Because I got so much love and respect for all my warehouse workers in the building, right? Because trust me, that's manual labor, right? Like you're literally working on your feet 12-hour days going crazy, right? So shout out to all my warehouse workers in the building, right? But when I was actually in this, and I'm putting things in perspective, right? When I was actually working at that job, guys, right? Which again was about 4.5 years ago. I'm blessed and able to not have been working a job for the past 4.5, 5 years. And it's just crazy for me to even say that, right? Because all I did my whole life, like by the time I turned 17, 18, my first job ever was working at McDonald's, right? I worked at McDonald's, guys, for literally 4 years. Like I was there from 17, 18 years old all the way to about 21 years old, right? And then at 21 is when I got that warehousing job, right? I was at that warehousing job for around 5 to 6 years. Right in the middle of that that warehousing job, or yeah, about 2 years before I left, that's when I ended up finding Forex, right? And I ended up finding, pretty much just online entrepreneurship as a whole, right? So when I started that job, guys, I started at around $15 an hour, right? $15 an hour. Back then, that was pretty decent, right? I was excited. I was living it, right? When I got, shout out to Freddie in the building, right? Massive shout out to Freddie. I see you in the chats, my brother. I see you subscribing. Everybody go ahead and drop a welcome in the chat for Freddie, our newest subscriber in the house. You guys know how we do, family. When we get a new subscriber, we show them massive, massive love for being a part of the community. So go ahead and drop some welcomes in the building. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But I started at $15 an hour. $15 an hour for me back then was lit. Right, I was lit, guys, because I just came from a McDonald's job working $7 an hour. Right, 7. Okay, 7. right? Which is crazy. That's crazy, right? So peep this now. Let me actually check something real quick. Hold on, give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Right, because this is probably gonna be something that you guys are probably, you know, correlating and probably are relating to as well. Give me 1 second though. All right, perfect. Right, so I was working $15 an hour. Right now, I was there for 6 years. On my 6th year, I was already at the cap of around $21, $22 an hour. Right, so I was making $22 an hour. It took me 6 years to go from 15 to 22, right? 6 years to make an extra $7 per hour. Guys, I've been trading for 7 years, right? And my income has tenfold. I don't think you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? I was at a job putting in hella work, probably one of the hardest working people there. But my income only increased by $7 an hour over a course of 6 years. By my 4th year of me trading, I was making double what I was making at that previous job on my 6 years. Right? So for me putting that time, those first 3-4 years, me going all in with this skill set, right? Giving it my all. Putting in countless hours. Like, you can ask my wife. Guys, like, my routine when I first started trading, because I get this question, Abel, how do you juggle a job and try to trade? This was my schedule at my job, right? When I was working that job, guys, I used to have to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning because I had to be at work by 7:30. I worked around 30 minutes away, so I'll leave the house at around 6:45 so I can go ahead and get there around 7:15, right? So from 6:30, 6:45, I'm on the road. I'm out my house. I was at that job because I had to work 10 to 12-hour days. I was at that job all the way till around 6 p.m. at night, 7 p.m. at night, right? So I'm talking about 12 hours a day. I'm away from the charts. I'm away from home, right? I had no ability to actually really learn this skill set. So what did I do when I actually did get home, though? Right, once I got home, guys, I took my butt and I went right to my laptop that I ended up buying off of Facebook Marketplace, or I think it was Craigslist at the time. Right, that I spent $100 on, and I went in and I started to actually perfect and learn as much as possible on what trading was, how to actually get started, and how to really just perfect it overall. So it went from me being away from home from 6:45 to 7 o'clock, me eating dinner for about half an hour, to then me by 8 o'clock, I'm on the charts, right? And I was on the charts, guys, all the way till about 2, 3 in the morning. I'm talking about, I did that for about 2 years straight. Like, I was hungry, right? Because at that point in my life, I was so miserable going to work because I knew that I was worth so much more than what I was getting. Right? It gets to a point in your life, guys, where, like, you're miserable clocking into work. You're miserable going to that job. And that's where I was at. So I decided to take advantage of my ability to learn. And I'm like, yo, I'm going to go all in with this. Right? So I went in for 2 years non-stop, literally sleeping 3 hours, 4 hours a night. But the reality is, most people don't want to give it that type of effort. Most people don't want to actually put in that type of energy, right? Most people will rather sleep when they could be actually putting in the time to actually perfect this. Like, I get it. We all like sleep. I love sleep, right? But sleep for me wasn't worth it at that time in my life because I was miserable whenever I was awake. The only time of my life back then that I was actually happy and excited was when I was sleeping. And that's sad. Right? That's sad. And I'm pretty sure some of you guys can relate to this, right? Where the moment in your life where you actually feel good is when your eyes are closed and you're knocked out. That's not living. Right? Too many of us guys are not living life. We're just existing through life. And that's what we have to change. This skill set can absolutely change that. Where you're just not existing through life, but you're actually living through life. But it's going to involve a lot of sacrifice. You guys feeling what I'm saying tonight? Right? Because like I said, I'm bringing the energy tonight. Like I'm bringing so much value and sauce and energy. right? It might be too much for a lot of you guys, but this is that real sauce, right? Because I'm very transparent, guys. Like, I don't hide nothing, right? I talk about my journey, the process. I talk about my wins. I mainly talk about my losses more than my wins, right? But drop a 3 if you guys are feeling what I'm saying right now. Drop a 3 in the chat. Right, drop a 3 in the chat, guys, if you guys understand what I'm saying right now. Let me know. Let me know. All right, I know I'm not the only one that feels this, right? I see. Welcome. Yes, I've been in the markets for 2 years now. Shout out to you, Leon. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right, let me know. Right, one thing that we have to do, family, is that we have to sacrifice our time and energy now so that later on in the future, the things that we do love don't end up becoming the sacrifice. Right? Sacrifice what we love now so our future later on, our love is not the actual sacrifice. Right? These are things that we have to do. Again, we're talking about learning one of the most complex skill sets in the world, so it's not going to happen overnight, but it is very possible. All right? It's very possible to do this. Right? It's just all about, again, trusting your ability, going all in with the skill set, and not making no excuses. Right? As long as you do not make no excuses, then you will absolutely get the results that you're after. Right? It's that simple. Right? We know the stats. We know a very small portion of people that actually try to do this actually succeed. But guess what? You're different. You're different. You have awareness. You have discipline. Right? You're also making that decision to go all in no matter what now. Right? Like, you're making that decision. So now it's all about just doing it. Right? Now it's all about just continue to show up, guys. Put the work in. And by the time you know it, you'll be able to really make a lot of money off this. Right? You'll be able to really make a lot of change and a lot of blessings off of this. Right? So even if it takes you 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, even if it takes you guys 10 years to truly master this, right? You've only sacrificed 10 years of your life to now be able to live the rest of your life how you want to live it. I'm telling you, that's the value. Right, let's see, just took my biggest loss this week. What would you do to get back to a winning streak? Right, that's a great question, right? I actually took a couple, did I take, no, I didn't take no losses this week, right? But last week I took a couple L's, right? Last week I definitely took a couple L's, right? So when it comes to taking losses, you have to understand the first thing that you really need to figure out whether it was a good loss or a bad loss, right? T4S Rich, right? Was it a good loss or was it a bad loss, right? And if you don't know what a good loss or a bad loss is, let me know in the chats, right? I'm pretty sure we have family members in the chat that can really go ahead and answer that for you. All right, but that's the first thing you need to do, right? Figure out if it was a good loss or a bad loss. And then once you have that awareness to figuring out which one is which, then you got to have just the discipline to either change something that went wrong or just deal without it. All right, I hope this is making sense. It was a great loss. Okay. Right now, I hope you understand what I mean by the difference between a good loss and a bad loss. Right? Because a good loss occurs when you followed your rules, right? Did you follow your rules, Rich? Right? Like, did you follow all of your rules? Did you actually follow proper risk management or did you over leverage? Right? Did you jump in exactly where you wanted to jump in? Did you follow every single step by step that you need to create for your strategy? Right? Because if you followed all your rules to the T, then yeah, you got to just wipe that loss off the table and it is what it is, right? And get back in the game. Don't let that affect you. Right? But if you know that there was something that you did wrong, whether you over leveraged, right, or anything like that, then yeah, then you got to just accept it. Let's see, I trade full time and I can accept the losses. There we go. Yeah, so you Gucci then. All right, just get right back into it, right? Find the next setup and do what you do. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the markets, guys, and see what we ultimately got going on. Before we get into the markets, you guys know I always like to get ahead and take a look at the fundamental side of things, guys, because fundamental analysis is the overall driving factor of this market, right? Technical analysis, guys, is what controls everything, right? We got 2 new family members to the familia as well. Shout out to you guys as well for actually subscribing to the channel. I completely missed the first name. I apologize. I believe it was Huang. I could be completely butchering it, but welcome to the family. Welcome for being our newest subscriber. Ishan as well. I see you in the building. welcome to the family. I appreciate you tuning in here, and hopefully I can give you guys some value today, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the markets, guys. So we do have a very interesting week coming up. With today, guys, we did have some news for the Australian dollar with their cash rate decision actually getting released. As you guys can see, they were actually forecasting an increase of or interest rates to go up to 0.6%. It actually went up higher than was actually predicting, which is actually interesting because this in itself, guys, means that they are definitely trying to at least combat inflation, which everywhere in the world is pretty much dealing with inflation right now. And them actually raising interest rates higher than what was even predicted is pretty crazy. But we're going to take a look at the Australian dollar, guys, to see exactly how that ended up playing out. But this was definitely a much higher number than what was predicted, which again could be just their way of trying to combat inflation. We've been talking about inflation, guys, for a long time, because inflation right now is like the biggest thing that is, that's what like every central bank and every government in the world is trying to really combat, right? Because inflation has been going absolutely insane, and I don't think it's going to slow down anytime soon. Right now, I could be wrong, and I hope that I am wrong, but actually, I'm not going to say that I hope that I'm wrong, because right now, inflation is going so crazy that it's like to a point where we kind of need a recession, all right? And it's crazy to even say, right? Because obviously recession means that there's going to be a lot of a massive decline in a lot of people's assets, right? In their portfolios and how much people actually have on their accumulation, all that good stuff, right? But sometimes you actually need a recession, right? I think right now we're at a point in our economy, guys, where this economy, especially over here in the U.S., it's been absolutely on fire, right? Like this thing has been absolutely going crazy, right? Where everything has inflated. We're talking about the price of goods. We're talking about certain assets. We're talking about home prices, car prices, right? We're talking about so many different factors, so many different things, guys, went through the roof in terms of how much value it actually gained, right? Now, things like this, yeah, for the person that's actually invested, it's obviously a positive because their asset increased in value. But for the everyday person and for the middle class person that really is living paycheck to paycheck, which is actually a lot of people, right? I believe 70 to 80 to maybe even 90% of people in this world are living paycheck to paycheck and can't afford for things to go up in value and things to go up in price, which is what we've been seeing, right? So a recession might be needed, which is kind of crazy, right? Just to maybe stimulate or not stimulate, but maybe bring the economy back down to something more of a healthier perspective, right? So that's just something to really think about, guys. But overall, like I said, a lot of these economies, a lot of these central banks are really trying to fight inflation, being the main big thing right now that's causing a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And that's probably why they actually increased interest rates here for the Australian dollar. Now, guys, I have a question for all y'all in the chat, right? I have a question for all you guys in the chat, right? If interest rates are going higher, what can that potentially do? Or is that a good thing for the currency, or is that going to benefit the actual asset market, right? The equity markets for, a specific area, all right? That's a good question for me to ask you guys, all right? Because it's very important for you guys to get, okay? Is interest rates going higher going to be something that causes more value for the dollar or for that actual currency like the Australian dollar? Or is that more so going to benefit the Australian equity market, right? Stock market over there. All right, this is a great question. Let's see what we got here. Teach, I be getting tore up in back testing, then I counted my R to R, then I'm positive, but barely. Yeah. Now we're gonna get that down packed though, 20 pips. I got you, right? That happens, right? But that's why risk to reward is very important, right? Because there's gonna be times where we're just not really understanding the markets, but risk to reward can really put you in a better position. Right now, the question that I ask, guys, right, is interest rates going up? What is that going to do? Is that going to benefit the currency, or is that going to benefit the asset market? Right? Because as a trader, guys, you have to understand that trading is a form of investing. Right? Trading is a form of investing, right? So we have to understand things from an investor standpoint, right? Because when we're talking about interest rates going up, we have to understand how interest rates going higher, how that's going to affect the currencies that we're actually trading. Okay? Because when interest rates are going up, typically that's going to benefit the actual currency itself, right? This is a big misconception, guys, that I've had for the longest, right? Because whenever I used to look at the data that would get released by one of these calendars, right, or data that was getting released in general, I would always assume that whenever it came out positive data, right, I thought, and again, at times it could happen, but I used to always think, guys, that positive data that comes out, right, that brings optimism in the markets, right? that was going to more so benefit the currency, right? So I would be thinking, man, this is positive data. This is probably going to bring a lot of optimism into the markets. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, that's good for the currency. But in reality, sometimes most of the time it's usually the opposite, right? Where if we get positive data, which brings more optimism into the markets, right? Less fear, where now people are more comfortable with investing into riskier plays, that's going to be taking away money from the actual currency, and that money is going to be flowing into the actual asset itself, right? As an investor, guys, we have two things to decide. Are we going to be invested into the asset market, the equity markets, the stock market, things like that, which are considered riskier plays? Or are we going to liquidate there and just be more safe and sit on cash? Right? How many of us have always heard, right, that cash is trash, right? Cash is trash, right? I know some people heard cash is king, right? Other people say credit is king, right? But there's certain periods in time, especially depending on the sentiment of a market, where cash could be considered trash because it's not growing, it's not doing nothing, right? Us having money in the bank is really not doing much, right? So during risk-off type environments where there's a lot of optimism, right? Where there's a lot of potential for growth, you don't want to be sitting on cash. So what you do is you convert that cash into some type of an investment, right? You invest that cash into some type of an asset. But most assets in this world are considered riskier assets, right? But when there's times of fear, okay, when there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt in the market based on what's happening in the world, see, that's when cash is king, okay? So cash is king during times of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, but cash is trash during periods of optimism, during periods of potential growth, when there's a lot of people excited about the markets. Does this make sense? Does this make sense, guys? Let me know in the chat. Drop a 4 in the chat. Drop a 4 for 4, right? Because cash is trash during risk-on environments, which means there's a lot of optimism in the markets, right? A lot more people are more comfortable with investing, and typically risk-on environments happen, or could be a side effect of lower interest rates, right? When interest rates are lower, it's easier and it's much cheaper for people to actually borrow, right? And you're just getting more for your buck. But when there's a lot of fear, right? When there's fear in the markets, cash is king, right? So we have to understand we have to be able to differentiate the two, right? Cash is trash during times of optimism. Cash is king during times of fear. Right? Write that in the chat. Write that in the chat, guys. Right? Let me know if you guys get what I'm saying. Write that in the chat. Right? Because this is some sauce right here. Right? Cash is trash during times of optimism, but cash is king during times of fear, uncertainty, and doubt when there's FUD in the markets. And if you can literally just understand that concept, then you're going to be far more ahead of most traders that are out there right now, right? Because most Forex traders out there, guys, they're only trading from a technical perspective. Let's be honest, right? 90%, 99% of traders out there, whether you see them on social media, right? Mainly, especially the social media traders that you see out there, right? Whether it's a trader you've seen on TikTok, Instagram, or even a trader that you see here on YouTube. Right, 99% of them really don't understand fundamentals or sentiment in this market, and that's why I'll bet $10,000 that most traders that are only trading off of technicals are really not long-term profitable. Now there are a couple. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple, but majority of them that solely rely on technicals, I doubt that they're profitable. Right, and a big reason for that, guys, is because, again, we're talking about trading, especially in a very liquid and volatile market like the Forex market, which has to do with margin, right, and things like that. Most traders, guys, don't understand how hard it is to really trade without understanding the overall economical scope of this market. right? Most people lose very simply because there's so many factors that cause this market to shake. Right? Trading is hard because at any given moment we can have data that comes out and completely shifts the overall momentum of the market. That's why trading is hard. Right? That's why trading is tough. But when you actually understand how to read sentiment based off the fundamentals, see, now you're ahead of the game. Because now you'll be able to also shift and trade and align yourself with that sentiment that could be possibly coming into the market, which is going to be related to the data that's getting released. Okay? That's why I'm on here, guys, encouraging you to really start to understand fundamentals a lot more and really start to understand sentiment a lot more, because that's really going to be putting you ahead of everybody else, right? And that's going to give you guys the best chance to really become profitable when you understand these things. So again, cash is king during times of fear. Cash is trash during times of optimism. Okay? Now, from your guys' opinion, what do you guys think we're dealing with right now in this world? Right? Do we have a lot of fear happening in this world right now, or do we have a lot more optimism occurring in this world? Serious question, right? And I want as many answers as possible, right? For at least all of you guys that are actually able to, right? Because I know some of you guys are probably on YouTube watching it, without the chat up, right? And that's fine, right? But let me know in the chats, guys. What do you guys think right now? What do you guys think we're actually experiencing in this world today? Right? Are we more in a fearful market, or are we more in an optimistic market? Let me know in the chats. Right, I see we got Marley in the building. Shout out to Marley. I appreciate you. Newest subscriber in the house. Shout out to you. Welcome to the familia. Hopefully you subscribe because you're getting some value so far. Let's see. Right, fear. A lot of fear. War. Yep. Fear. 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 Okay. Fear. Fear, right? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of fears. Right? We don't have that much data, guys, that's really showing some type of optimism. I mean, we're talking about dealing with inflation, which is, again, at least in the US, at 40-year highs, right? Like, we haven't seen inflation this high, guys, in 30, 40 years. That's going to cause fear. All right? We're talking about this war that's going on with Russia and Ukraine, right? Which is going to lead to something deeper than just a war, right? We're talking about a global food crisis, right? Where there's going to be a shortage in food coming up even worse than there is now. That's fear. Right? We're talking about interest rates going higher, right? Because now interest rates going up literally means that anything that we do, anytime we want to borrow or invest, everything that we do now is going to cost more. Right? So we're not getting as much for our buck like we would just a year ago. That's also going to cause fear. Right? So what do you think people do, guys, during times of fear? Right? At least investors. Do you think an investor is going to be invested into the markets, a risky market, during times of fear? Or are they more so going to sit on cash, right? Go liquidate their assets and sit on cash so that they can prepare themselves for the next big opportunity when there is more optimism in the markets? What do you guys think? Right? This is the type of conversation, guys, that's really going to turn you guys into phenomenal traders. Right? These are the type of conversations, guys, that's really going to put you guys to the next level. And in fact, I got to put this out there, right? This is the type of conversation that we're also going to be having at the 5-day boot camp that I actually plan on having with every single one of you guys that decides to actually participate. All right? Throwing this plug out there. Okay, for those of you guys that have not read right below the actual chart or the actual screen, I am hosting a 5-day virtual boot camp, June 27th through July 1st, right? It is a 5-day boot camp. We're going to be on the charts. We're going to be talking. We're going to be really just breaking down what it takes to truly go from a newer trader to a more advanced trader to even somebody that could potentially eventually go full-time doing this, right? Literally over the course of 5 days, right? Now, as of right now, guys, I'm planning 2 hours, at least 2 hours for each day, right? Probably going to go even longer depending on how we're actually flowing. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, right? One of those days is going to be mainly just really correlating fundamentals, really understanding sentiment. We're going to use data that actually has been released. We're going to correlate it to the charts so that you guys can see how powerful and you guys can see how the market really does react to data and information. Right? We're going to have one full day just talking about fundamentals and sentiment.